You guys seem to really enjoy my last video where I remade Evil Wurst's original frustrator base. But with so many requests for another one of his solo or duo bases, I figured I had to do one more. So here it is, a solo duo base incorporating not 1 or 2, but 5 bunkers. And with all of that said, let me introduce you to my version of the Raptor. I loved this solo base back in the day and I used it all the time. So I've tried to revamp it with all the tricks of the 2025 build meta and still keep that cozy original feeling of the Raptor. Heading inside, you can see it looks a little different than the original Raptor. That's because I've tried to increase the online raid protection, and you can see the garage doors wrap around on either side. Off to the left, we have a honeycomb dropbox loot room. This is great for your extra resources. And on the right, we have the main living area of our second floor. And stick around because I'll show you the insane core of this base with 5 bunkers in just a second. But for now, upstairs to the roof floor. Now for those of you who don't remember, the original Raptor didn't even have a peak floor, so this is all my interpretation. But tell me how you think I did in the comments below. Also, while you're down there, don't forget I'm always accepting video ideas from the comments section. Even this base design was an idea from one of you in the last video, so feel free to give me some ideas that you'd like to see and maybe I'll build your base next. Now back into the tour, check out this door peak onto our roof in case you're getting top-down rated. The entire peak floor is almost the same on every side, incorporating a few beds if you need it as well. And coming back around to the start, we can go through our final door upstairs for the full roof access. There's enough space up here to land a mini copter, and you can do a little roof camping if you need to. But now for that original Raptor feel, let's head downstairs into the bunker. Opening up our drop down, you'll see the simple stair bunker through the wall. Now out of the 5 bunkers, this is the only one that doesn't work on console, but because of the other 4 bunkers, the raid cost is barely affected, so you don't need to worry about it. And speaking of the other bunkers, here's the first one. You can see behind each vending machine and a single door is 2 large boxes for the best of your loot. And just in case you're still running low on storage, the vending machines can be used as a box as well. I won't open the other vending machine, but you get the idea. You can access them all just the same. The next room has 4 clean large boxes, followed by our other 2 bunkers, and behind our final garage door we have a smaller loot room with a large battery, 3 electric furnaces, and our drop down bunker. And on the PC version, to replace the bunker, you can just use a twig triangle, followed by a spiral staircase on top, and you can upgrade that to metal or armored. And before we start building it, last but not least, here's the TC upkeep on your screen now. I love the starter to this base design and it's super easy to learn. But before we do, I want to promote fellow builder Hidden Joints build servers. I use the room build servers for this base and I plan on using them going forward as well. They don't crash, they're not laggy, and there's a ton of tools to help you build. Also, Joint just hit 200k on his main channel, so go give him your best. So let's jump right into the build with a square and 2 triangles. This will be your main starter layout, and if you'd like, you can build in all of the final foundations now, just to make sure that everything fits in your build area. Now, as I mentioned, I love this starter because it's so cheap that you can place them all over the map. So even if you weren't planning on playing Rust today, you can still remember the simple steps to build the starter and come back to this video whenever you have some more resources. Now, to wrap up the final starter, all we're gonna do is add double doors swinging inward on either side, and then you can load up this room with any deployables that you see fit. Next, build in the following triangles and squares to complete the circle core of the base. Then you can build squares coming off of any of those outside triangles, just like this. Hey guys, Zypic from the future here. I'm editing the video and realized that I forgot to mention something that could be very useful for newer players. When building this wraparound, I'd highly recommend upgrading these 4 triangles only to wood instead of stone. And that's because our vending machine bunkers will sit on these triangles. And if they're wood, it'll make it much easier to demolish the triangle if you happen to do something wrong. Now, back to the video. On the side next to our door, we'll place roof pieces off the backs of both of these squares. And then you can complete these rooms with walls on either side of the roof. Just remember to keep these slots open for now until we place in our bunkers later on. For the second area, repeat the same steps that we did in the first section. And finish the expansion off with a wall frame right before the 2 half walls in your starter. You can then fill in the rest of the door path with wall frames. Just again, remember to leave out those bunkered sections. And to finish it off, just add the roof pieces on top. I recommend placing 2 double doors in the front and garage doors behind that, but if you don't have garage doors yet, you can use double doors for now. Just remember to replace those later on in the build when you have the resources. Once you finish those steps, your starter base should look like this, but I'm sure you're desperate for more storage, so let's demolish all the original starter deployables and we'll start from scratch. Now in this square, to make placing all your boxes easier, upgrade all the door frames to either a stone DLC skin or to metal if you don't have one. Then simply follow this box placement and you should have no problem getting a 4-box loot room in here. And do the same thing with the next square over. And your last square next to the entrance can have your workbench and some bags. However, if you're getting door camped a lot, I'd recommend moving these bags in further to the core, just for now until we add in the dropdown. Speaking of the dropdown, let's jump outside and we'll build that in. Just like before, 2 roof pieces coming off the backs of each square. But just before you seal in the left side, jump into the base so you can build the dropdown from the inside out. And be aware, for the bunker to work, you need your jump up to be a furnace, not a half-height floor tile. Now at this stage, even though we've only built the core of the base, we can still seal off the main bunker. And one more time, as a reminder, if you're on console, this is the bunker that does not work. Now I hope at this point you've saved up a few metal frags because it's time for some of the upgrades. Now the upgrades are fairly simple. You're going to begin by upgrading all of the inside foundations around your core to metal. Essentially anything that's in your door path. And follow that up by upgrading any of the connected walls to those foundations. And to finish it off, upgrade your entire roof from stone to metal. At this point, the weakest section of our base is the bunkers, so let's build those in. Start by placing 2 large boxes in the center of your square foundation and make sure you code lock both of them. Then you're going to want to get yourself into the corner of this triangle foundation so you're as far as possible from the boxes. With your vending machine equipped, rotate it so it's backside facing you. Now backed up all the way in the corner, move left and right until you can line up the middle of the vending machine with the middle of the square foundation like this. If you did all of those steps right, when you pull the vending machine towards your feet, the vending machine will get stuck in about this position, and that's where you can place. You should then be able to place a door frame behind the vending machine and you can upgrade it to metal. If you ever have a problem placing in the door frame, I'll show you how to fix it in just a second. You can see I've went ahead and disabled the broadcasting on the vending machine, and then of course to loot the boxes, you can look through the vending machine on either side. And lastly, don't forget to place a sheet metal or armored single door on the door frame. This will just ensure that no one can splash your boxes with a rocket. Now I'll speed through doing the other 4, but you're going to place them in the exact same way, locking the boxes, getting in the corner, and place the vending machine as low as you can to your feet. As I mentioned in the first bunker, you may not be able to place in this door frame right away. If this is the case, simply rotate the vending machine and it should come up as blue. You can then place it in like normal and of course rotate your vending machine back afterwards. Now before you get placing in these vending machines, let me mention the most common 2 mistakes. The first one being that the vending machine is not centered in the middle of the square foundation, and the second mistake I see is that I'm not fully backed up into the corner of the triangle foundation before I place. As long as you're careful about it and take your time, your base should look like this. So let's go ahead and add in a front door and get working on the second level. And double check that your placement looks the same as mine, with a door frame on the left and a window on top, and the right side will have 2 stacked windows. To finish it off, place in 2 triangle roof pieces on either side to complete the ramp. Then we'll run around to the next side and we'll start with the same 3 triangle foundations on the bottom, but since this isn't going to be a doorway, we can stack it with 2 walls, and the 3rd floor will be a window just like the front door. And then just repeat the same steps we did on the second side on the last side as well. With our base now looking like this, we can now seal off the second floor with walls all around. The entire roof can be sealed off normally, except for the single triangle in the middle, and for this we'll use a triangle floor frame as the jump up. Place in the second doorway, and then you can finish off the airlock. Our next step will be placing in 3 wall frames on each side, wrapping around from the front door. In between, we'll use a half wall and a low wall as the jump up and also a peek down from the roof. And then just go ahead and build in a basic roof access using a half height floor tile, and we can finish the rest from upstairs. When building in the loot room on the left side, depending on your resources, you can upgrade it just to stone for now, or you can upgrade it straight to metal. You're free to customize the box placement to whatever you like, or you can copy my design here. Now we'll go around the base and fill in any empty door frames with garage doors, minus the 2 doors right at the front, which we'll use as a 3rd airlock. Once you've honeycombed this square next to the bunker dropdown, you can customize the deployables to anything you like, but here's how I do it. Now when you get a chance, upgrade all of the walls and roof pieces on the 2nd floor core area to metal, but if you're lacking on resources and just want to get the base finished in stone, you can do this later on as well. Next is building in those turret pods you saw in the intro. You'll build these on all 3 sides where you left a gap in the roof ramps. Just don't forget to rotate your walls so you have the hard side facing out in metal on every side. Now, since these wall frames carry quite a bit of stability for the base, we're going to upgrade them straight to metal, and they'll support our roof floor later. But the rest of the turret pod can just be upgraded to stone, and I would also recommend placing the rollers facing outward as it makes them easier to close. Also, when placing in the turret, make sure it's as far back and centered in the middle of that wall, so no grubs can pick it with a spear. And just repeat the same thing on the other 2 sides, so we have a total of 3 turret pods. Once you completed all 3 sides, your base should look something like this, and now we can work off the upper floor, starting by building off those windows. Also, notice that I'm building the roof access on the same side we have the doorway to the 2nd floor. I built it like this so you have quick access up to the roof if you need it. For the other 2 sides of the base that have walls, we're going to use single doors as a peek up to the roof. Place wall frames off the main jump up, connecting it to each side of the roof peak. If you can, I'd also recommend upgrading all of these roof pieces straight to metal. Place your double doors swinging inwards, which will create a nice airlock both up and down into the core. Now for the peak downs, you're going to start by placing low walls off the main core section, followed by floor frames wrapping around to either side of the peak. And because they hold so much stability, just like we did in the turret pods, we'll upgrade these frames to metal as well. Now strangely, when you try to seal in these gaps with roof pieces, it may come up as red on one or both sides. I don't know why it does this, so let me know in the comments, but to fix it, you can just upgrade to a stone DLC skin or just upgrade to metal. Now depending on how you like the peaks, you can fill in these windows with either glass, embrasures, or a window bar. Then upstairs on the roof, you'll notice we have these huge gaps that we can look into. So to seal these off, we can place triangle roof pieces facing outwards on every side. At this point, your roof is entirely finished, and all that's left to do for the exterior is the small upgrades to outside on all of the ramps and the foundations below them. Upstairs on the roof, I'd recommend one side with a bedroom and the other with a mixing table or any other deployables you may want to place. To get a better head glitch to outside, I'd recommend placing campfires on every corner which you can stand on when peeking. one last double door to replace with a garage door, and then I'd recommend placing a turret upstairs on the 3rd floor on this half wall, and of course one right above the bunker drop down as well. For the final HQM upgrades in the core, upgrade all of the walls next to these 4-box loot rooms to armored, as well as the one behind your workbench. I'd also highly recommend upgrading the TC walls, and I didn't do it in this video, but if you have more HQM at the end of the wipe, you can do the door frames of the bunkers. The last step you'll see me doing is upgrading all of these roof pieces, which is very important, followed by the 2 half walls to our bunker. For the large battery, I recommend removing this back box and placing it next to the electric furnaces. And lastly, to stop anyone from cheaply raiding through your door path, upgrade the half wall and the roof tile above the TC. With that said, the base is finished. I hope you guys have a great wipe using this. Let me know how it goes in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.